I mean, all this information, I just stated that, this is not nothing that I'm not in disagreement with. It's just the fact that I think we just need to explain more to the public about what's going on and how we're gonna do that and how we're gonna protect our city.
Okay,
That's all.
so, if there's a question about the ordinance, or you want people to understand the
If you
ordinance,
wanna rush through, okay.
explain.
Point of information here.
Chair recognizes the second one.
If you could give us some insight on what the application, we saw on the news, I'm sure largely everyone saw Buffalo Grove, Hinsdale, they're following the same process in which we are to ensure that we don't have a migrant overhaul. But we don't know what that application looks like. And then I saw that there's $1,000 fine. And then also, what's the fine for each passenger? That wasn't detailed. In other municipalities, they have to provide a 5-day notice. And so are we following the same process where, one, I don't know how we would even be notified that they're coming in, or there's a notification process as such, but in the event it is, attached to the application, if there is a tentative arrival day on behalf of the bus that would be disembarking within the city, do we have it on record to say you must submit this application prior to or 1 week ahead of time before your scheduled arrival?
So I don't quite understand the question.
Okay, so in the village of Buffalo Grove, you have to give a 5-day notice. Whomever this bus company would be that would drop these passengers off, in addition to the application, which I know Chief Business, you would closely monitor per the resolution, you will closely monitor what the application looks like. So not knowing exactly, and I haven't reviewed to see what those municipalities' application status looks like or what it is, what's our idea of the application? And how many days ahead of time would the entity that's thinking about coming into the city to disembark passengers be having to give a notice to the city?
So I'm gonna ask you, did you read the
Well,
ordinance?
it's a clarifying question, so.
Did you read the ordinance?
I mean, and that's my
The
clarifying.
answer is in the ordinance.
Could you further explain, the application is not in the ordinance?
The application is not in the ordinance, but the calendar days are in the ordinance. So did you read the ordinance?
I could very well, as a human error, not know specific to what the number of days are, but if you could share with us.
Well, I'd like for you to share what you know.
Well, based on what I know, that's what I just shared, so that was my clarifying.
I don't quite understand what it is that you know.
Well, I know that this is an ordinance that is seeking to go through so that we can not stop or prohibit the overhaul of migrants coming to the city, is that correct?
Actually, it's about buses.
Right, I understand that, but knowing that 5 other municipalities in the northwest suburbs have taken the same action, this has been the same resolution in which they've done, my understanding, and to Alderman Key's point, is just for further clarity on who the group is, that this is specific to. So.
It's not to a specific group, except for buses.
Understood. So we've seen that buses have come into those villages, New Lenox, Buffalo Grove, and they too passed a similar ordinance. So I'm just asking regarding the application.
We were passing an ordinance similar to this. You just said it's a similar ordinance.
Okay.
You read the ordinance, right?
So based on it being a similar ordinance, that means that this is to prohibit migrants coming into the city.
No, that's the news. Did you talk to the news station or did you talk to the municipality?
Well, confirming what you just stated, you said that it's like what other municipalities.
Similar ordinances.
Right,
Right.
so, based on the context clues provided, my thought is that this is in regards to the migrants.
Okay.
So, with the application, because we're on the same page, as Alderman Key said, I'm in full support of this resolution. However, we just have some clarifying questions so that the residents at large can have further understanding on what we're doing. And
You're
how
more than welcome to sit here and read the ordinance out if you want to. And
we're-
so are you as well, Alderman Key. But what I'm getting is to ask some questions that's already in the ordinance. And if your thing is that you wanna sit up here and make me answer those questions, questions, I'm not gonna answer those questions, you can answer those questions if you've read the ordinance. If you have not read the ordinance, then you haven't read the ordinance. But you can clearly say, and like you said before, and define what's in the ordinance.
I just, the clarifying question here was just the number of days, and then I added fines, because the $1,000 fine is in there, but not what we would charge per passenger. So those are my two questions, if you could specifically provide the number of days though, on what.
It's in the ordinance. That's what I'm saying. If you've read the ordinance, then tell the audience what's in the ordinance.
But we don't know what's in the ordinance. And if it comes down to it, the alderman should vote.
You are out.
The alderman should
You
go
are
ahead
out,
and
sir.
vote it down.
Sir, if you continue, you are out of order.
Mr. LaRue, thank you, but
Okay. So, we're not, if you don't have a real question, and you don't have a real debate, I'm gonna close the debate at this particular point in time.
Okay, well, my question is simple. I read the ordinance,
Mhm.
but it's not clarified good enough for me.
Okay, what don't
Explain
you,
to my residents.
what don't you
The
know?
questions that we just asked.
What was that?
If you want to listen, you ask me.
I don't know either.
I don't understand, first of all, man. We just both equally agree that we are.
What you're saying is you're agreeing with something that you don't understand. And so it just seems to me like you're just grandstanding. Because you're saying that you agree to something that you don't understand and you don't know what it says. So if you don't know what it says, then how can you agree to something that you don't know what it says and you don't understand?
Okay, so if you're gonna talk for me, you know.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call it for a vote.
You might as
You
well
know,
not
just
let me
sit
say
up and
nothing then. Cause you talking for me, so you might as well not let me say nothing.
That might be a good
I want
idea.
my residents to be able to go, and I just offered a suggestion on the ideas, which I thought was a good suggestion, you know, and looking at the entry points of the area and just see
You
how.
didn't offer that, you didn't offer suggestion. What you said was, you know what I'm saying? You know, I think
No, I
you should,
did not.
you know what I'm saying? I wish we could play it back, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what
Play
you're
it back
saying.
then. Play it back.
We can't play it back.
Then why mention it?
But I said, we should.
Are my residents?
point of order,
No, just.
I just wanna say.
I need a motion to close the meeting. A motion to close the debate.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, ayes have it. We'll, move forward with the, motion by the third, second by the first to approve. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Rogers?
Yes.
Alderman Key?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderwoman Truinsky?
Yes.
Alderwoman Chapman?
Yes.
Alderman Randall? Motion carried, that's ordinance 3482.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is public comment. As there is, yes. First we have Lawrence Welski. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Comments shall be courteous and respectful at all times. No person may use comments for the purpose of campaign or advertising. This is not a question and answer time. The council cannot engage in conversation with the public. Questions and concerns about operations should be addressed to city staff during regular business hours. Mr. Sawelski.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan. I'm here on behalf of the Harvey Historical Society. We had some very serious concerns. As you know, we have supported saving the buildings across the street, and we've had public and private discussions with the mayor, which we know he disagreed. We brought an investor, even willing to fix it up and on his own dime and put the buildings back on the tax rolls so they actually make money. Unfortunately, on December 22nd, at least, we found out that, or we saw that demolition was begun across the street. So we're disturbed for a few reasons. We haven't seen any permits. There haven't been any hearings about how, these public buildings will be handled. Also, we haven't seen any environmental assessment results. So as far as we know, one of the reasons why we want to preserve these old buildings is because usually it's better to keep them in place, fix them up, and reuse them like the guy was proposing. Because otherwise, they're releasing all sorts of poisons and toxins into our air, water, soil. I mean, we don't even know, but we haven't seen the environmental assessments, which the city council voted on. So who knows what sort of lead, arsenic, you know, what else? Asbestos. I mean, there's all sorts of things in these old buildings. So, you know, that's a huge concern. And then today, I stopped by because I saw the workers, and there was a Cook County sheriff there, and I thought, gee, I don't usually see a sheriff at the demolition. So he said, oh yeah, the city of Harvey's not paying anything for this because they're using, you know, basically slaves, because they don't have any choice in the matter of prisoners. They don't have the proper protection, so they're there putting their health and their lives in danger to demolish the properties across the street. Is this acceptable? I mean, is this the kind of society or the city that we want to live in? I mean, these people, let alone the toxins and all the poisons being released, you know, for the residents, but I just told the officer, you know, I said, I understand you guys are following orders, but I mean, you know, the way that the city has handled this whole matter, I said, you know, you're putting your health and your lives at risk. Who knows what kind of stuff you're breathing in? I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're not in there, they're not over there in hazmat suits or anything. They're just there in their prison garb. I mean, what if that were you? What if that were your relative in prison? They can't say no, they weren't hired. But would you want you or your relative to be exposed to all that crap? I mean, you know, so that alone, I was just extremely disappointed, let alone all the historic arguments and the fact that it's, you know, a huge misuse of city property. Like I said, we had at least one investor saying, hey, I'll fix it up, no cost to taxpayers, put it back on the market so it's making, you know, it's on the tax rolls. And the city says no, and now we're demolishing it, and there's no plan to put anything in its place. So we're gonna have another empty lot in downtown Harvey?
The time is up.
Great, you know, how many years have we done that?
Next,
Let's not keep repeating that.
Beverly C. Hill.
Open meeting.
You
You are violating, and I sure will, I sure will. Thank you
You're out
so
of order.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you very much. Next is Lillian Rayborn.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to know what I can do about the raccoons. They're taking over every day, they're setting my alarms off, they're tearing up my garbage cans, they're on my deck. I was told I couldn't put any poison out, that was against the law. So what can I do to protect my property? They're constantly setting my alarm on 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ms. Rayborn, we don't do a question and answer session here, but as you know, and as we have talked before, we can discuss this again.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. That being all public comment, the chair will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by the first, second by the third, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, we stand adjourned at 7:24.